The bridge of the orbital fortress called Sanctuary 7 was burning. Ambassador gripped the railing as another explosion shook the massive structure. Through the viewing windows, she could see the warships closing in like hungry wolves. Their ships were beautiful and terrifying, all smooth curves and glowing energy shields that made them look like jewels floating in space. "They're breaking through the outer defenses," someone shouted, couldn't tell who. The command center was chaos. Aliens from 7 different species were running back and forth, trying to save their last stronghold. Some had too many arms. Others had scales or fur or skin that changed colors with their emotions. All of them looked terrified. High Chancellor stood at the center of it all. His insect-like body was rigid, his multiple eyes fixed on the tactical display. The map showed red everywhere. Red meant enemy ships. There was very little blue left. "How long until the shields fail?" asked. His voice came out as clicks and whistles, but translator earpiece turned it into words she could understand. 15 minutes, maybe 20, a technician replied. Took a deep breath. This was her moment. Earth had only joined the galactic community 6 months ago. Humans were the newcomers, the primitives who had just figured out how to travel faster than light. Nobody took them seriously, but Earth had sent ships anyway. Good ships, strong ships. Chancellor said, stepping forward. "My government is offering military assistance. We have 12 warships in the system. They're ready to fight." Turned to look at her. All 6 of his eyes blinked in sequence. It was how his species showed disbelief. "Human ships, your vessels don't even have proper energy shields. Your weapons are, what do you call them, projectiles, chunks of metal you throw through space." "Yes," said firmly, "exactly that." A few of the other aliens made sounds that might have been laughing. The antenna twitched. "Ambassador, I appreciate the gesture, but this is not a battle for children. They have conquered 80% of the galaxy. They have weapons that can tear apart stars. Your ships would be destroyed in seconds." Another explosion rattled the fortress. Closer this time, the lights flickered. 10 minutes to shield failure, the technician announced. Pulled out her communication device. Captain One's face appeared on the small screen. He was a man in his 50s with gray hair and a scar across his left cheek. He looked like someone who had seen many battles. "Captain," said quietly, "they're refusing our help." One nodded. He didn't look surprised. "I'm watching the battle from here. They're getting slaughtered." "What do we do?" The captain was quiet for a moment. Behind him could see his crew moving around the bridge of the destroyer. They all wore dark blue uniforms with the Earth flag on their shoulders. "Stay safe, Ambassador. Keep your head down. We'll do what we can." The screen went dark, put the device away and looked back at the tactical display. More ships were appearing. They came through their dimensional gates, materializing from nothing. 30 ships, 50, 100. Each one was bigger than the human vessels hiding at the edge of the system. "They're hailing us," someone said. "They want us to surrender." His body slumped. Had never seen an alien look defeated before, but she recognized it now. It looked the same as it did on humans. "Open a channel," said quietly. "Wait," another voice called out. It was Doctor, another human. She had come aboard the fortress as part of Earth's delegation. She was younger than maybe 30 years old, with short black hair and glasses that kept sliding down her nose. "Look at the long-range sensors. Something's happening." Everyone turned to look at the display. At first, didn't understand what she was seeing. Then she realized ships were human ships, not just the 12 knew about. There were more, many more. "How many?" demanded. 47 human vessels, said with a smile. "My government sent reinforcements. We didn't want to scare everyone, so we kept most of them hidden." 47 ships against 200, voice rose. "This is madness. Call them back. They'll be destroyed." But the human ships were already moving. They formed into groups, using tactics that looked strange to the aliens watching. Instead of the careful formations the Galactic Council used, the human ships scattered. They moved fast, burning their engines at levels that should have been dangerous. Captain One's voice suddenly filled the command center. He had the fortress's communication system. Sanctuary 7, this is Captain One of the United Earth Navy. We're here to help whether you want it or not. All human ships prepare to engage. Load legacy ordnance. Set to maximum velocity. Authorization code Omega 7. Legacy ordnance, repeated. What does that mean? Pushed her glasses up. It means we're using old weapons, really old. The kind we used back on Earth before we went to space. Watched as the human ships rushed toward the fleet. The enemy had noticed them now. The elegant alien warships were turning, their weapons powering up. Beams of pure energy lanced out, missing the fast-moving human vessels by meters. They're too fast, a technician whispered. How are they moving that fast? We don't use energy shields, explained. All that power goes into engines and weapons instead. The ships fired again. This time one of the beams hit a human frigate, but instead of exploding, the ship just kept going. Part of its hull was glowing red-hot, but it didn't stop. That should have destroyed it, said. Armor plating, said simply. Thick metal, it's primitive, but it works. The human ships were in range now, held her breath. This was it. Earth's first real battle with an alien enemy. If they failed, humanity would be marked as weak forever. If they succeeded, well, nobody really thought they would succeed. Captain One's voice came through again. His tone was cold and steady. All ships fire at will, show them what hell looks like. The human ships opened fire, but there were no beams of light, no energy weapons. Instead, soft flashes from the human vessels. She saw streaks of light racing toward the fleet. They moved so fast they were barely visible. The first ship exploded, just exploded. No warning, no shields flickering. One moment it was there, the next it was debris. Then another exploded, and another. The command center fell silent. Everyone was staring at the display. The ships were dying. Their shields weren't working. The human weapons were passing right through the energy barriers like they didn't exist. What are they shooting? Asked. Smiled wider. Metal, just metal. Big chunks of it moving at incredible speeds. Our use magnets to throw tungsten rods. The shields stop energy, but these are just solid objects. Physics does the rest. 10 ships were gone now, then 15. The enemy fleet was breaking formation, trying to understand what was happening. The human ships darted between them, firing constantly. Each shot was another kill. Realized she was smiling. Earth's primitive weapons were winning. The galaxy's most feared empire was running from chunks of metal. Captain One's face appeared on the main screen. Sanctuary 7, your shields are failing. Retreat to the inner system. We'll cover you. Just nodded. He couldn't speak. He was still staring at the tactical display where human ships were tearing through the fleet like sharks through fish. As the fortress's engines powered up, Hurd whispered to herself, "They should have taken us seriously." Outside the windows, another ship exploded in a ball of fire. Then another. The beautiful warships were dying, and the primitive humans were the ones killing them. The battle had just begun. Commander Yang watched his tactical screen with satisfaction. They were panicking. He could tell by the way their ships were moving now, jerky and uncertain instead of smooth and confident. Good. Fear was a weapon too. Soul fire this is, Captain One's voice crackled over the comm. Move to intercept the cruiser group on the left flank. Don't let them regroup. Understood, Yang replied. He turned to his weapons officer. Hay-1, target their lead cruiser. Load armor-piercing rounds. Lieutenant Hay-1's fingers danced over her controls. She was young but deadly accurate. Target locked. Distance 4,000 kilometers. Firing. The soul fire shuddered as the fired. Yang counted in his head. 1, 2, 3. The cruiser exploded. The tungsten rod had punched straight through its shields, through its hull, and probably through half a dozen internal compartments before hitting something critical. Direct hit, enemy vessel destroyed, HFY reported. The other cruisers scattered. They were trying to run now. Yang smiled grimly. Don't let them escape. Pursue and destroy. On the main screen, he could see the larger battle. What had started as 200 ships against 47 human vessels was now much smaller. Maybe 120 ships left, and the humans hadn't lost a single ship yet. A few were damaged, sure. Hulls were scorched, armor was melted in places, but they were all still fighting. They had never faced anything like this. Their entire military doctrine was built around energy weapons and energy shields. It had worked against every other species in the galaxy, but humans didn't play by those rules. Humans used old technology, simple technology, technology that just worked. Commander, the fleet is reforming, his sensor officer called out. They're trying to make a coordinated attack. Yang studied the display. The ships were grouping together, forming a tight wall of vessels. Their shields were overlapping, creating a stronger combined barrier. Smart. If they couldn't defend individually, they would defend as one. All human ships, this is, one's voice came through again. They're clustering up. Good, switch to heavy ordnance. Authorization Hellfire Protocol. Yang felt his pulse quicken. They were going to use those weapons, the ones that made even him uncomfortable. HFY, load the special torpedoes. HFY hesitated for just a second. Sir, are you sure those are? I know what they are, Yang said quietly. Load them. The special torpedoes were something Doctor had designed. She had taken old Earth weapons and adapted them for space. Nobody in the galaxy used chemical weapons anymore. Nobody used fire in space. It was considered barbaric, primitive, cruel. But it was effective. Torpedoes loaded, HFY reported. All ships reporting ready. Fire, one ordered. Dozens of torpedoes launched from the human fleet. They looked normal at first, just standard missiles streaking through space. They opened fire with their energy weapons, destroying some of them, but most got through. When they hit, the results were horrifying. The torpedoes didn't explode normally. Instead, they released a substance that stuck to the hulls. Then it ignited. Fire bloomed in space, fed by chemicals that didn't need oxygen. The compound ate through armor like acid while burning hot enough to melt steel. Yang watched a battleship trying to shake off the burning substance. It couldn't. The fire spread, consuming the vessel. He could imagine the crew inside, scrambling to seal compartments to stop the heat from reaching critical systems. It wouldn't work. This wasn't a fire you could put out easily. Sir, receiving multiple distress calls from enemy vessels, his communications officer said. They're begging us to stop. Yang's jaw tightened. War was ugly. He didn't like this part. But they had conquered entire civilizations. They had shown no mercy to anyone. Earth was showing them what real warfare looked like. No response, he said. Continue the attack. More ships were dying now. The tight formation that was supposed to protect them had become a trap. The burning compound was spreading from ship to ship. They were too close together. They're breaking formation, the sensor officer shouted. Enemy fleet is scattering. But it was too late. The human ships moved in closer. This time they used different weapons. Yang watched as they launched a new type of missile. These ones were bigger, slower. Nuclear warheads, HFY whispered. They're using nukes. Yang nodded. Nuclear weapons were banned across the galaxy. Every civilization had agreed thousands of years ago that they were too dangerous, too destructive. But Earth had never signed that agreement. Earth wasn't part of the galaxy back then. The first nuclear missile hit a carrier. The explosion was massive, a miniature sun blooming in space. The electromagnetic pulse knocked out the shields of every nearby ship. The radiation would make the area dangerous for years. But it worked. The carrier and 3 nearby destroyers were simply gone, vaporized. All human ships advance, one ordered. Close to engagement range, prepare for boarding actions. Yang almost laughed. Boarding actions. They wouldn't expect that. In modern galactic warfare, you destroyed enemy ships from a distance. You didn't board them. That was ancient history. But the human fleet closed in anyway. Marine pods launched from the larger ships, magnetic clamps carrying them toward damaged vessels. The pods attached to hulls, cutting torches burning through armor. Colonel Jinwoo led the first boarding party. Yang could hear his voice over the tactical channel. Breaching now. Watch your targets. Remember, ballistic weapons only inside enemy ships. Yang listened as Jinwoo's team entered a cruiser. He heard gunfire. Not energy weapons, but old-fashioned bullets. The soldiers had energy shields, of course. Personal shields that protected against plasma and lasers. They didn't protect against bullets. Deck 1 secured, Jinwoo reported. Encountering heavy resistance on Deck 2, using fragmentation grenades. Grenades, Yang shook his head. Humans were using grenades in space combat, and it was working. On the main screen, he could see High Chancellor watching from Sanctuary 7. The alien's face was unreadable, but his body language showed shock. The fortress was safe now, its shields restored. The fleet was in full retreat. To all ships, one said, they're running, let a few escape. I want them to tell their empire what happened here. Yang understood. This wasn't just about winning one battle. It was about sending a message. Earth was here. Earth was dangerous. And Earth fought with weapons that made even the most advanced civilizations look like children. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the flagship, his communications officer said. It's War Master himself. Put it on screen. The commander appeared. He was tall, with dark blue skin and eyes that glowed red. His armor was scorched and damaged. Behind him, Yang could see smoke and sparks. Human commander said in perfect English. His translator was good. What manner of savages are you? You use fire, radiation, kinetic weapons. This is not civilized warfare. Yang leaned forward. War Master, there is no such thing as civilized warfare. There is only winning and losing. We choose to win. His eyes narrowed. Your weapons are primitive, barbaric. You fight like animals. And yet we're winning, Yang said calmly. Your shields don't stop our weapons. Your tactics don't account for our methods. You've conquered the galaxy using the same strategies as everyone else. We're different. This is not over, hissed. The Empire will crush you. Maybe, Yang said, but today we crushed you. Now run. Tell your Empire what happened. Tell them that humanity has arrived. The transmission cut out. Yang watched as the remaining ships activated their dimensional drives and vanished. Out of 200 ships, maybe 40 escaped. The rest were debris or burning wrecks. Captain One's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but satisfied. All ships report casualties. The reports came in. 3 human ships heavily damaged, 17 crew members dead, 42 wounded. Against 200 ships, that was a miracle. High Chancellor is requesting to speak with you, one said to Yang. Put him through. The insect-like alien appeared on screen. His eyes were still wide with disbelief. Commander Yang, we owe you our lives. Earth has saved the Galactic Council, but I must ask, your weapons, the fire, the radiation, the metal projectiles, why do you still use these things? Yang thought about how to answer. Chancellor, we use them because they work. Your civilizations advanced beyond these weapons thousands of years ago. You found better, cleaner ways to fight. But you forgot that simple doesn't mean ineffective. We didn't forget. We just made our old weapons work in space. And the nuclear weapons, the burning compounds, asked quietly. Tools, Yang said. Terrible tools, yes. But when someone threatens to wipe out entire civilizations, you use whatever tools you have. Was quiet for a long moment. The Council will want to form an alliance with Earth. We will need your help in the coming war. We know, Yang said. That's why we're here. As the transmission ended, Yang looked at his crew. They were celebrating, hugging each other, cheering. They had just won humanity's first major space battle. They had shown the galaxy that Earth was a power to be feared. Outside the windows, the burning remains of ships drifted in the darkness. A graveyard of advanced technology, destroyed by primitive weapons. Yang thought about what was coming next. The Empire wouldn't give up. They would regroup, adapt, come back stronger. But Earth would be ready. Humanity always had more tricks up its sleeve, more weapons from hell to show the galaxy. Colonel Jinwoo pressed his back against the cold metal wall of the ship. His rifle was warm in his hands, the barrel still hot from firing. Around him, his Marine squad was positioned and ready. They had taken 3 decks of the enemy vessel, but they were mounting a counterattack. "Contact front," someone shouted. A soldier appeared around the corner, his plasma rifle already firing. The bright blue beam shot past Jinwoo's head, missing by centimeters. Jinwoo didn't hesitate. He raised his rifle and squeezed the trigger. 3 shots, bang, bang, bang. The sound was loud in the narrow corridor. The bullets hit this personal shield and the first 2 were absorbed, but the third one punched through. The alien soldier fell. "Keep moving," Jinwoo ordered. His squad advanced down the corridor. They passed more dead. Some had been killed by bullets, others by grenades. A few had suffocated when the Marines breached the hull and vented the atmosphere. It was brutal work. Jinwoo didn't enjoy it. But the Empire had to be stopped, and sometimes that meant fighting room by room, corridor by corridor. "Sir, we've reached engineering," Lieutenant Jin reported. She was his second-in-command, a specialist in chemical warfare. "The door is sealed, reinforced titanium." Jinwoo studied the door. It was thick, designed to withstand energy weapons. "Use the breaching charge." Jin pulled a brick of plastic explosive from her pack. She molded it around the door's lock mechanism, inserted a detonator and stepped back. Clear. The explosion was sharp and loud. When the smoke cleared, the door was hanging open. Jinwoo led his squad inside. The engineering deck was massive, filled with humming machinery and glowing conduits. Engineers were scrambling to defend their positions. They had set up energy barriers and were firing plasma weapons. "Grenades!" Jinwoo shouted. His Marines threw fragmentation grenades over the barriers. The engineers dove for cover, but the explosions ripped through them. Metal fragments didn't care about energy barriers. Within minutes, the engineering deck was secure. Jin moved to the main console. "Sir, I can access their systems from here. What do you want me to do?" "Can you shut down their weapons?" Jinwoo asked. "Better than that, I can shut down their entire ship." Jin's fingers moved across the alien interface. She had studied systems for months. "Done. The ship is dead in space." Jinwoo tapped his communicator. "This is Jinwoo. Target vessel is secured. We've captured it intact." Captain One's voice came through. "Excellent work, Colonel. We'll send a recovery team, but we need you on another target. There's a command ship 300 kilometers from your position. War Master is aboard." Jinwoo smiled. The Supreme Commander, capturing him would be a major victory. "We're on our way." The Marine pods detached from the captured ship and rocketed toward the new target. Jinwoo watched through the viewport as they approached. The command ship was huge, maybe 5 times the size of Earth's largest vessel. It was damaged from the earlier battle, its shields flickering on and off. "Attach to the upper hull," Jinwoo ordered. "We'll breach near the command deck." The pods clamped onto the ship's surface. Cutting torches began their work, melting through the armor. It took longer than usual. The command ship had triple-thick plating, but eventually the hull gave way. Jinwoo was the first one through. He dropped into a corridor filled with smoke and flashing emergency lights. Soldiers were already responding, their boots thundering on the deck plates. "Form up," Jinwoo shouted. His squad created a defensive position. When the first soldiers rounded the corner, they were met with a wall of gunfire. The aliens were wearing combat armor and carrying heavy weapons, but they were used to fighting other aliens who used energy weapons. They weren't prepared for sustained automatic fire. Bullets ricocheted off the walls, found gaps in armor, overwhelmed personal shields through sheer volume. "Push forward," Jinwoo ordered. His squad advanced using cover and suppressive fire. They moved like they had trained for years. Room clearing, urban combat, tactics that Earth had perfected over centuries of warfare. They fought hard. Jinwoo lost 2 Marines to plasma fire, but his squad kept moving, kept fighting. They used grenades to disorient the enemy. They used tear gas, pumping it through the ventilation systems. They had never encountered such weapons. They couldn't fight what they couldn't see. "We're approaching the command deck," Jin reported. She was monitoring the ship's layout on her portable scanner. Heavy resistance ahead. Jinwoo peeked around a corner. The corridor ahead was filled with elite guards. They had set up a fortified position with heavy weapons and energy barriers. Taking them head-on would be suicide. "Jin, you said you could use chemical weapons," Jinwoo asked. She nodded. "I brought acid compounds. They'll eat through metal." "Use them." Jin pulled several canisters from her pack. She set them to spray mode and tossed them down the corridor. The canisters began hissing, releasing a mist of corrosive chemicals. The guards started screaming as the acid ate through their armor, their skin, their weapons. Jinwoo didn't want to use such weapons. They were horrible, but they had burned entire planets. They had killed billions. This was justice, not cruelty. When the screaming stopped, Jinwoo led his squad through. The corridor was a mess of melted metal and bodies. He tried not to look too closely. They reached the command deck door. "This is it," Jinwoo said. "Is on the other side, breach and clear." The door exploded inward. Jinwoo rushed through, his rifle ready. The command deck was large and circular, filled with holographic displays and tactical stations. Officers were scrambling for weapons. War Master stood in the center. He was tall and imposing in his black armor. His red eyes glowed with hatred. "Human filth," he spat. "You dare board my ship?" "Drop your weapon," Jinwoo ordered. His squad had their rifles trained on every target. Laughed. "I am War Master of the Empire. I do not surrender to primitives." He raised his plasma pistol. Jinwoo fired first. 3 bullets hit in the chest. The War Master's personal shield flickered, absorbed 2 shots, but the third went through. Staggered but didn't fall. His armor had stopped the bullet. But it didn't stop the follow-up shots. Jinwoo's entire squad opened fire. Shield overloaded. His armor cracked. The Great War Master fell to his knees, then collapsed. "Secure him," Jinwoo ordered. "I want him alive." Jin checked vitals. He's alive, barely. The armor saved him from the worst of it. Jinwoo tapped his communicator. "Captain 1, this is Jinwoo. We have War Master, he's our prisoner." There was a pause. Then one's voice came through, filled with satisfaction. "Outstanding work, Colonel. Bring him back. High Chancellor is going to want to see this." 3 hours later, Jinwoo stood in the brig of the, looking through the energy barrier at his prisoner. Was conscious now, his wounds treated. He sat on a metal bench, glaring at his captors. "Why do you fight like this?" asked suddenly. "Your weapons are crude, your tactics are savage. You use fire, poison, explosives. You fight without honor." Jinwoo pulled up a chair and sat down. "War Master, can I ask you something? When you conquered other worlds, did you show honor? Did you fight fairly?" Was silent. "I've seen the reports," Jinwoo continued. "Planets burned, populations enslaved, cities leveled from orbit. You talk about honor, but you've shown none." "That is war," said. "We are superior, we have the right to rule." "No," Jinwoo said quietly. "That's genocide, and humanity has learned from our own dark history. We know what happens when one group decides they're superior to everyone else. We've made those mistakes before. We won't let others make them now." Leaned forward. You cannot defeat the Empire. We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. Today was one battle. We will learn from it. We will adapt. Maybe, Jinwoo admitted. But here's what you don't understand. Every weapon you call primitive, we call proven. We've used these weapons for hundreds of years. We know exactly how they work, how to improve them, how to use them in ways you've never imagined. Bullets spat. You're proud of bullets. Jinwoo smiled. Bullets, yes. Also missiles, grenades, chemical weapons, biological agents, nuclear bombs, and about 1,000 other things your people forgot about 10,000 years ago. You advanced past these weapons. We kept them, improved them, made them work in space, on different worlds, in different atmospheres. He stood up. Your people got comfortable. You all fight the same way. Energy shields, plasma weapons, fancy tactics. It's like you're all playing the same game. But humanity doesn't play games. We fight to win. Was quiet for a long time. Finally, he looked up. What will you do with me? That's up to the Galactic Council, Jinwoo said. But I imagine they have a lot of questions for you. As Jinwoo left the brig, he thought about the war to come. This victory would spread across the galaxy. The Empire would hear about it. They would be angry, scared, determined to crush these upstart humans. But Jinwoo wasn't worried. Humanity had more weapons to show them. Electromagnetic pulse bombs that would fry their computers. Sonic weapons that would shatter their neural interfaces. Biological agents designed specifically for biology. And those were just the ones they had tested. Doctor was already working on new designs. Mines, drones, viruses. She called it creative problem solving. Jinwoo called it bringing hell to the stars. On the bridge, Captain One was watching the tactical display. Human ships were spreading out, securing the area. The Galactic Council fleet was regrouping, and news of the victory was being transmitted across the galaxy. Colonel Jinwoo, one said, how does it feel to capture the War Master? Jinwoo thought about it. It feels like we just showed the galaxy what humanity can do. They thought we were weak, primitive. They learned differently. One nodded. The Council is officially requesting an alliance. They want us to help fight the Empire. And what did Earth say? They said, yes, we're going to war. One looked at Jinwoo. Get your Marines ready. This was just the beginning. Admiral stood before the holographic display, his hands clasped behind his back. The map showed 17 star systems, all colored red. Territory. His job was to turn them blue. Admiral, the Council representatives are here, his aide said. Send them in. High Chancellor entered with 2 other Council members. They looked nervous. That made sense. Earth had won 2 battles, yes, but now they were planning to invade space. That was different from defending. Admiral said. His translator made his clicking sounds into words. The Council has given Earth full military authority, but we must know your strategy. How will 47 human ships defeat the entire Empire? Smiled slightly. We won't use 47 ships. Earth is sending 200 more vessels, and we won't defeat the Empire through direct combat alone. We're going to break them psychologically. I don't understand, said. Watch, gestured to Tactical Officer Bora. She was young, barely 25, but her mind worked in ways that amazed even him. Explain the doctrine. Bora stepped forward. She had spent months studying Earth's military history, every major war, every brilliant strategy. She had taken those lessons and adapted them for space warfare. The Empire is powerful, Bora began. They have more ships, more soldiers, more resources, but they have a weakness. They're predictable. They fight the same way every time. Energy weapons, frontal assaults, overwhelming force. She manipulated the holographic display. We're going to use what we call asymmetric warfare. We won't fight them where they're strong. We'll hit them where they're weak. Supply lines, communication hubs, isolated outposts. We'll make them afraid to sleep. Psychological warfare, said slowly. You'll terrorize them. No, said firmly. We'll demoralize them. There's a difference. We're not going to target civilians or commit atrocities, but we will make their military question everything. When they go to sleep, they'll wonder if their shields will stop our weapons. When they wake up, they'll wonder if their commanding officers are still alive. Bora brought up recordings from the previous battles. We've already started. These videos of ships being destroyed have been broadcast across the galaxy. We edited them to show the most dramatic moments. The population is seeing their invincible fleet being crushed by primitives. That creates doubt. We're also dropping these, she said, showing an image of a piece of paper. It was covered in writing, physical leaflets. We print them on paper and drop them from orbit onto worlds. They explain that the Empire lied about being unbeatable. They show images of War Master in our brig. Looked shocked. Paper. You use paper. We haven't used physical documents in thousands of years. Exactly, said. Your people wouldn't think to jam paper. You jam electronic communications, hack networks, block transmissions. But paper just falls from the sky. And because it's so unexpected, people pick it up and read it. One of the other council members spoke up. What about actual combat? How will you fight their fleet? Bora pulled up a new display. We've analyzed shield technology. Their shields recharge in cycles. After absorbing a large energy attack, they need zero point 0.3 seconds to reset. During that time, they're vulnerable. So we'll coordinate attacks, explained. One ship fires energy weapons to drain the shield. Exactly 0.3 seconds later, another ship fires kinetic weapons. The timing has to be perfect, but it works. We're also deploying new weapons, Bora said. She showed an image of a small sphere. This is a proximity mine. It's completely passive until a ship comes within range, then it explodes. The don't use mines. They rely on smart weapons that can be jammed or hacked. These are dumb, simple, unstoppable. Watch the council members absorb this information. We've also weaponized chaos. Our ships use random movement patterns. We don't follow standard formations. We attack from unexpected angles. They keep trying to predict our movements, but they can't. There's no pattern to predict. But surely they will adapt, said. They'll learn from their defeats. They will, agreed. That's why we keep changing our tactics. Every battle we use different weapons, different strategies. They adapt to bullets, we use bombs. They adapt to bombs, we use biological agents. They're always reacting, never preparing. Over the next 3 months, the human fleet put the doctrine into practice. They struck 17 different systems in carefully coordinated attacks. In the system, they deployed electromagnetic pulse weapons. The EMP bombs fried every computer on ships, but human ships were built with redundant systems and analog backups. While the fleet was dead in space, human Marines boarded and captured 12 ships intact. In the system, they used sound as a weapon. Doctor had discovered that neural interfaces operated on specific frequencies. Human ships broadcast sonic pulses at those frequencies. Crews collapsed, their minds overwhelmed by feedback. The system fell without firing a shot. In the system, they deployed a biological agent. Not a weapon that killed, but one that made soldiers violently ill. The defending fleet had to retreat to their medical stations. Human forces took the system while the enemy was vomiting. Every victory was broadcast across the galaxy. Every defeat for them was shown in detail. The psychological impact was devastating. Admiral received a message one day from Princess Lyra, a young royal. She wanted to defect. She had seen the recordings of battles. She had read the leaflets. She no longer believed in the Empire's cause. "Why are you doing this?" asked during their first meeting. Princess Lyra sat across from him in a secure room. She was young, maybe the equivalent of a human 20-year-old. Her blue skin seemed pale, her red eyes tired. "Because I've seen what you do," she said. "You don't destroy our people. You defeat our military and then you leave. You could have bombed our cities, killed our civilians, but you didn't." "We're not monsters," said. "No," Lyra agreed. "But the Empire is. I've seen the reports, planets we've conquered, species we've enslaved. I thought it was necessary for order, for peace. But it's not. It's just conquest." She leaned forward. "I can help you. I know things about our military, weaknesses. I want to stop the war." Studied her carefully. Could he trust her? Was this a trap? But something in her eyes looked genuine, desperate. "What can you tell me?" "Our shields," she said. "You figured out they cycle, but there's more. The cycle timing changes based on the power of the attack. A small attack causes a short cycle. A large attack causes a longer cycle. If you can calibrate exactly, you can keep our shields permanently down." Bora, who was listening nearby, almost jumped out of her seat. That's exactly what we needed to know." Princess Lyra provided more information: fleet positions, supply routes, the location of the Empire's main shipyard, everything. "Why are you helping us so much?" asked. "Because I want this to end," Lyra said softly. "And I think humanity is the only force that can make it end." The information Lyra provided led to the Battle of the Core Worlds. It was the largest engagement yet. 50 human ships against 300 vessels defending their most important systems. Admiral commanded from the bridge of the supercarrier. Around him, his officers worked with calm efficiency. They had trained for this. "Admiral, enemy fleet is in position," Bora reported. "They've fortified the outer planets with mine fields and defense platforms." "Their mines or ours?" asked. "Theirs, energy-based with IFF codes." "Then let's turn them into our mines. Hack the IFF system and make them target ships." It took Bora 10 minutes to break into the mine network. When she did, every mine in the field. Now they would explode when ships approached. "Mines," Bora said with a smile. "They're now ours." The battle began with the fleet advancing confidently. Then their own mines started exploding beneath them. Confusion rippled through their ranks. How were the humans doing this? While they were distracted, human ships launched their attack. They used Princess Lyra's information, calibrating their weapons perfectly. Energy weapons to drain shields, followed by kinetic weapons at precise intervals. The shields flickered and failed, over and over. "Deploy the asteroid bombardment," ordered. This was a new tactic. Humans had attached engines to large asteroids and accelerated them to incredible speeds. Then they aimed them at positions. The asteroids were too big for normal weapons to destroy. When they hit, the kinetic energy was devastating. 3 battleships were crushed by asteroid impacts. Their shields couldn't stop that much mass moving that fast. "Sir, they're calling for reinforcements," Bora said. "Another fleet is jumping in." "Let them come. Deploy the drone swarms." Thousands of small drones launched from human ships. They weren't heavily armed. They were just there, flying in random patterns, broadcasting false signals, overwhelming sensors. The enemy couldn't tell which contacts were real ships and which were $100 drones. The fleet fired wildly, wasting ammunition on targets that didn't matter. Meanwhile, real human ships picked them off one by one. "They're breaking formation," Bora reported. "Some ships are retreating." "Broadcast the surrender terms," ordered. "Tell them they can leave if they abandon their positions. No pursuit." It was a calculated risk. Let them run, and they'd tell others about the defeat, about how useless their weapons were, about how humanity controlled the battlefield. Half the fleet retreated. The other half fought on, loyal to the Empire. But without support, they were crushed. The Battle of the Core Worlds was a complete human victory. Admiral received a communication from War Master in his cell. The defeated commander wanted to speak. "What do you want?" asked. His face appeared on the screen. He looked older than before, tired. "I want to understand. Your weapons shouldn't work. Your tactics shouldn't succeed. How are you winning?" Thought about how to answer. "Because we don't rely on one method. We don't trust in superior technology alone. Every weapon we use has been tested in real combat on Earth for centuries. We know what works. Savagery muttered. No, said, strategy, you prepared for advanced warfare. We brought you every kind of warfare. High tech, low tech, psychological, physical, chemical. We adapted while you stayed the same. He ended the communication and looked at Bora. What's next? The Empire's throne world, she said. Prime. It's the heart of their civilization. If we take it, the war is over. Nodded slowly. Then that's where we're going. Prepare the fleet. We end this. Commander Min looked at the planet below. Prime. The heart of the Empire. From orbit it was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Cities that glowed like jewels at night. Somewhere down there, Empress was watching the human fleet arrive. All ships report ready, his communications officer said. We have 247 vessels in position. The Galactic Council fleet has another 100 ships ready to support. Min nodded. This was it. The final battle. If they won here, the war would end. If they lost, the Empire would rally and the fighting would continue for years. Sir, the defense fleet is moving to intercept, the censor officer called out. I'm counting. 500 ships, maybe more. 500 against 247. Not good odds, but humanity had one worse. Admiral is hailing us, the communications officer said. Min accepted the call. The Admiral's face appeared on screen. He looked calm, like this was just another day. Commander Min, your squadron will lead the initial assault. Draw their attention while the main fleet moves into position. Understood, sir. What about their defenses? They've fortified the orbital space with weapons platforms, but we've identified their ultimate weapon, a quantum disruptor. It can erase ships from existence, literally delete them from space-time. Min felt his stomach drop. How do we fight that? We're working on it. Doctor thinks she has a solution. For now, just stay alive. The Admiral ended the call. The battle began with the fleet charging forward. They had learned from previous defeats. Their ships stayed spread out now, preventing cluster attacks. Their shields cycled randomly to prevent timing exploits. They had adapted. But so had humanity. Launch decoy drones, Min ordered. Full spread. I want them to think we have twice as many ships. Thousands of drones launched, each one broadcasting false signals. The fleet hesitated, trying to figure out which targets were real. That hesitation cost them. Human ships opened fire. Missiles, torpedoes. The shields held better this time. They had reinforced them against kinetic weapons, but that made them weaker against energy weapons. Switch to mixed fire, Min ordered. Alternate between kinetic and energy, keep them guessing. The battle turned into chaos. Ships on both sides were exploding. Min watched as a human frigate took a direct hit and broke apart. Then a cruiser was destroyed by a well-placed shot. Sir, the quantum disruptor is powering up, the censor officer warned. It's targeting the main fleet. Min saw it on his display. A massive platform in high orbit, bigger than any ship. Energy was building around it, reality itself seemed to bend. All ships, evasive action. Admiral's voice came over the fleet channel. Get clear of that thing. The quantum disruptor fired. A beam of impossible light shot out. Where it touched, ships simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not scattered into debris, just gone, erased. 10 human ships vanished. 20, 30. The Galactic Council fleet panicked and started retreating. We need to take out that weapon, Min said. But how? Our weapons can't even touch it. Then Doctor's voice came over his personal channel. Commander, I have a solution. It's crazy, but it might work. Tell me. The quantum disruptor uses incredibly advanced sensors to target ships. It reads quantum signatures, energy output mass. But what if we made our ships too primitive for it to detect? Min frowned. I don't understand. We strip down your fighters, Remove all the computers, all the sensors, all the advanced equipment. Make them just metal shells with engines and guns. The disruptor won't be able to see them. They'll be too simple. It was insane. Flying without computers, without sensors, without any of the systems that made space combat possible. But Min had learned that insane plans sometimes worked. "Do it," he said. "How long?" "Give me 30 minutes. Those were the longest 30 minutes of Min's life. The quantum disruptor kept firing, erasing ships from existence. The human fleet was being pushed back. They were winning. Finally, Doctor called back. 20 fighters ready. That's all we could strip down in time. They have basic engines, basic weapons, and that's it. You'll have to fly them manually. No autopilot, no targeting computers." "I'll take one," Min said. "Who else?" 19 other pilots volunteered. They were all experienced, all brave, and all probably about to die. But they were humanity's last chance. Min climbed into the stripped fighter. The cockpit was bare. Just a stick to control direction, a throttle for speed, and a trigger for the weapons. It felt like flying an airplane from 300 years ago. "All fighters form on me," he said. His radio was basic, barely functional. "We go in fast and low, don't stop for anything. Our target is that weapon platform." The 20 fighters launched. They accelerated toward Prime, using the planet's gravity to slingshot toward the quantum disruptor. The massive weapon platform was firing again, erasing more ships, but it wasn't targeting the fighters. "It's not seeing us," one pilot said, amazement in his voice. "We're invisible to it." "Stay focused," Min ordered. "We get one shot at this." Defense ships tried to intercept, but without advanced computers to track them, the human fighters were incredibly hard to hit. They weaved and dodged, flying on instinct and skill. "Approaching weapon platform," Min said. "Armed torpedoes." Each fighter carried 2 old-fashioned torpedoes, not smart missiles, not guided warheads, just explosive-filled tubes with simple contact fuses, the kind of weapons humanity had used in ocean warfare 2 centuries ago. "Fire on my mark," Min said. He lined up his shot manually, using his eyes and experience. Mark. 40 torpedoes launched. Most missed. The fighters were too fast, the platform too big, the targeting too difficult. But 6 torpedoes hit. They struck the quantum disruptor's power core. The explosions were massive. The disruptor tried to fire one last time, but the beam went wild, cutting through empty space. Then the entire platform exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the surface. "Target destroyed," Min shouted. All fighters returned to fleet. But they weren't done. Their Empress appeared on every communication channel. Her voice was cold with fury. "Humans, you have destroyed our ultimate weapon, but you are still outnumbered. You will still lose." "Then let's finish this," Admiral replied. "All human ships full assault. Show them everything we've brought." The human fleet surged forward. They unleashed every weapon in their arsenal. Missiles, nukes, imps, chemical weapons, biological agents, sonic attacks, cyber warfare, asteroid bombardment, minefields, drone swarms. They had never faced such variety. Every time they adapted to one weapon, another hit them. Their shields couldn't stop everything. Their tactics couldn't counter everything. Their technology couldn't predict everything. "They're breaking." Bora's voice came over the tactical channel. "Fleet is fragmenting." The ships were scattering now, each trying to save itself. The disciplined fleet had become a mob. Some were retreating. Others were surrendering. A few fought on, but without coordination they were easy targets. On Prime, Empress watched her empire crumble. She stood in her throne room, surrounded by advisors who were panicking. Outside the windows, she could see human ships in orbit. The invincible empire had been defeated. Ambassador's face appeared on a holographic display. "Empress, your fleet has been defeated. Your ultimate weapon is destroyed. I'm authorized to offer terms of surrender." red eyes blazed with anger. How did you do this? We are advanced. We are powerful. You are primitives playing with obsolete technology. Diplomat Sung Ho appeared next to. He had been sent to handle the negotiations. Your Majesty, may I answer that? I've studied your empire. You became comfortable. You all fight the same way. Use the same weapons. Follow the same tactics. You forgot that there are many ways to wage war. We have the most advanced technology in the galaxy, protested. Yes, Sung Ho agreed. But advanced doesn't always mean better. A is simple, but it works. A nuclear weapon is old, but it's effective. A grenade is primitive, but it kills. We use what works, not what's fancy. Leaned forward. Empress, humanity never forgot where we came from. We climbed from the dirt of one planet to the stars. We brought everything with us. Every weapon we ever invented. Every tactic we ever developed. Every lesson we ever learned. You reached for the stars and forgot the ground beneath your feet. Was quiet for a long moment. What are your terms? End the war, said. Release all conquered species. Dismantle your military to a defensive force. Join the Galactic Council as an equal member, not a conqueror. And if I refuse? Then we continue fighting, Sung Ho said simply. And we will win. You know it, we know it. Everyone knows it now. Empress looked at her advisors. They all nodded. They had no choice. I accept your terms. The Empire surrenders. 5 years later, Commander Min stood in a museum on Earth. It was dedicated to the war. His stripped-down fighter was here, preserved behind glass. Children pressed their faces against the display, amazed that such a simple machine had helped win the war. Commander Min, a voice said. He turned to see a young cadet. Is it true you flew that thing without computers? Min smiled. It's true. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Captain One had retired to a quiet life. His ship, was also in the museum. He visited sometimes, touching the hull like greeting an old friend. Doctor ran a research institute now. She was developing new weapons that combined human ingenuity with alien technology, but she never forgot the lesson. Simple, effective, proven. Ambassador had become Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. Humanity had a permanent seat now. They were the military protectors of the galaxy. When threats emerged, everyone looked to Earth. Admiral gave a speech at the museum's opening. We didn't win because we had the best technology. We won because we had the best strategy. We adapted. We improvised. We used everything at our disposal. That's what makes humanity special. We don't rely on one strength. We use all of them. High Chancellor attended the ceremony. His species and humanity were allies now, friends even. I underestimated you, he said too. We all did. You seemed so primitive, but you taught us that primitive and ineffective are not the same thing. Princess Lyra, who had helped humanity win the war, now worked as a diplomat. She helped rebuild the empire into something better, something peaceful. Humanity gave us a gift, she said in an interview. They showed us that power without wisdom is useless, that advanced without effective is meaningless. The galaxy had changed. Wars were still fought, but differently now. Species studied Earth's military history. They learned about guerrilla warfare, siege tactics, psychological operations. The Terran doctrine became required reading in military academies across the stars. And when a new threat emerged from the darkness between galaxies, everyone knew who to call. The humans would know what to do. They would adapt. They would improvise. They would bring whatever weapons were needed, even if those weapons were from hell itself. On the bridge of a new ship, a new generation of human officers prepared for the next challenge. They had nukes. They had drones and mines. They had chemicals and biologicals. They had everything humanity had ever invented, refined and ready. Because that was the human way. Never forget the past. Always prepare for the future. And when someone threatens the peace, show them what happens when you anger a species that climbed from the dirt to the stars. Show them what happens when you fight humanity.